So it finally happened. You submitted 100 resumes, did everything they told you to do on LinkedIn, and the only thing you got back was silent or rejection so fast you thought Deion Sanders did it. Shout out Coach Brian, by the way. But in this video, I want to show you another perspective. I want to show you how hiring managers review your resume to give you the best chance at landing that interview. Hey guys, before we get started, do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button right at the top and like, comment, and share because that's the best way to help this channel grow. All right, look, I know you can't stick along all day, so here's the too long I Got Kids version of how hiring managers review your resume. Number one, they do it quick. On average, you got about 60 seconds to impress a hiring manager with your resume, and we're going to deep dive a little bit later on what they look for in that quick scan. Number two, they look at experience. That's company, that's tenure, that's role, all that counts, and that's going to really make your resume stand out to a hiring manager. And number three, they look at your education, training, and certificates. All these things count, and they really take your resume over the top and push you over the competition. All right, let's deep dive into number one. They review your resume quickly. I know this might be super frustrating if you have submitted 100 resumes to countless companies. I got to start by just being honest. As a hiring manager, you get hundreds of resumes for every single job posting that you have. The reality is you just don't have the time to give a thorough review to everyone. Oh, and don't forget, by the way, these same hiring managers are still responsible for doing their job every single day. So all that sums up to this: they don't have time to care as much as you think about your pretty resume. So here's how you stand out with a quick glance. Anytime a hiring manager is looking over your resume, they're going to do a quick glance of 60 seconds from top to bottom. We're going to look at formatting. We're going to look at roles and experience. We're going to look at education, schools you went to, certifications, training, how long you stayed in a position. All those things have to be readily apparent in 60 seconds or less. Now you might be asking, if I spent weeks grooming this resume, paying thousands of dollars, how in the world are you going to take the goodness from it in 60 seconds or less? I'll tell you, it's more art than science. But the science behind the art in this particular scenario are going to be your key words. Use the right words that are not only in the job description, but make it readily apparent you got everything you need to do this job. It has to stand out in 60 seconds or less. Again, is it fair that we look at it, the resumes in 60 seconds? No, it's not fair. So get over it. But what is fair is that if you highlight exactly what we want to see as a hiring manager, I promise you, even in a quick scan of 60 seconds or less, every single thing we need to know about you to decide if we want to put you in the interview stack or not. So in conclusion, again, flowery language is great, but use the words that stand out for the position that you're trying to apply for, because that'll guarantee that in that 60 seconds, I get the key goodness that you want me to see as a hiring manager who ultimately will end up interviewing you. All right, let's deep dive into number two. We look at experience. It seems super obvious to list all of the roles, titles, as how long you've been at a company in the experience section of your resume. And you would think that all humans would inherently understand exactly what to do in this section. But let me tell you exactly where you're messing up from a hiring manager who only spends about an average of 60 seconds or less looking at most resumes. When I look at your experience section of your resume, so often y'all are so focused on using flowery language that I actually don't know what you do. I think I was the sanitation engineer at NASA Langley for 35 years. Bro, you were the janitor. Don't fluff up what you were trying to do if I'm not going to ultimately understand what it was you were doing. The second thing I want you to look out for in your experience, and the thing I see most often, is that people will copy and paste a job description trying to beat the AI that's reviewing the initial resumes because that's what they heard on LinkedIn, but they'll often forget to tell us what they actually accomplished in the job. Here's what your resume and your experience section should look like for an experienced person that impacted the job versus someone who just copied their job description from the internet. Someone who copied their job description will say, hey, I was a sales manager and my job description had me looking at qualified leads, focused on increasing sales, efficiency, all the other buzzwords that y'all like to use in your resumes. And then it'll just end there. someone who's truly experienced and qualified is gonna want you to know that. This is where you put the good stuff on the table for everybody to see. Not only was I the sales hiring manager, but during that time I drove $10 million in revenue by identifying new training methods to accelerate the sales of my team. As a hiring manager, if I see that you increase sales by $10 million, I might not even finish the rest of the sentence. I may go on to the next part of your experience because you're clearly qualified, understand your impact, and know how to drive change. Those are the things that we're looking for. So in conclusion, less flowery language, more impact. Less flowery language, simpler words to help me understand what you do in 60 seconds or less. Let's bring it home with the deep dive into number 3. We look at your education and training. Guys, if you went to a great school, make sure we can see it. Make it readily apparent that not only do you have the experience for the role, but you spent time showing that not only you know how to learn, but you know how to do it in such a way that's relevant to not only the institutions you went to, but the education and the training and certifications that you got because of it. Because the reason why that matters is in this section, I'm really looking for 2 things. Is there a school certification or training that can tell me that you're wicked smart and you know how to learn? Or can I see the effort of someone who was trying to break into the industry by doing all the relevant training, certifications, and anything they could get their hands on to prove that they're committed to learning and growing in this space? If you could check the box on one of those 2 things, whether that be the Harvard Ivy level education that proves you know how to learn at the highest level, or the plethora of certificates and training that are relevant to the job that prove that you're super hungry to get into this space, either one of those will be more than enough to catch the eye of a hiring manager. So rank them and most relevant, but use this section to really stand out with your ability to learn and grow or your commitment to excellence to break into the industry. Look guys, I know it doesn't feel fair when you're submitting hundreds of resumes only for the hiring managers to review them in 60 seconds. But the reality is you're up against hundreds and in some roles, thousands of people. Take these tips, keep it simple, and focus on honing in on the value that you bring to the role. And I promise you that phone's gonna ring, that email's gonna come, and that offer, when you get on the other side of the interview, is gonna look sweet and everything is gonna be exactly the way you want it to be. As always, you can do anything with God and hard work. My name's RP. Peace.